Hey, this is Pradeep with Sensatura. We are starting to see the shift from the stillness of winter to more brighter days, at least here in France, which means it's time for some seasonal scents. So here are some fragrances that I look forward to wearing this spring 2025. Let's get started in no particular order. First, let's go with the designer. This is Beau de Jour from Tom Ford, composed by Antoine Messandieu. This was initially released as a private blend fragrance. Obviously here I have the signature version bottle. This is an amber fougère, a style of perfumery that seems to be getting more and more scarce these days, even though it can be modernized in different ways. Lots of herbal notes here, thyme, basil, and a dominant rosemary, all working with the lavender, which is also done in a herbal fashion. It's balanced by this vibrant barbershop style of aromatic geranium and this earthy textured green patchouli in the base. It's fresh, classy, put together, clean-cut type of scent. Certainly has a throwback vibe, but it's made more contemporary to match the Tom Ford aesthetic. This prominent amber has enough warmth to give it a bit more assertive character. Lasts a long time, can be worn even like a signature scent year-round. I call this the last standout Tom Ford in my review, and I still think it applies today. Speaking of standout aromatic masculines, this is another one I reviewed recently and called it a hidden men's fragrance from Chanel. This is Paris-Edimbourg from their Les Eaux collection created by Olivier Poudre. I called it that because the topic of Chanel not releasing a new men's pillar is always discussed in fragrance circles. Guess that's not going to change anytime soon with the current rumors of a new Bleu de Chanel flanker. Then there is this one, which is one of the more traditionally masculine-leaning releases from the brand, in a line that is otherwise mostly feminine. The reason being this is a tribute to one of the many lovers that Coco Chanel had, the Duke of Westminster. It has this green outdoorsy juniper cypress combo, creating this aromatic, fresh, tonic sort of departure, very woody, earthy, wandering in a forest estate sort of sensation going on. Certainly got some density to it, and yet it's fresh, bright and polished as you would expect from a Chanel. Even has some hints of an aquatic scent. It's certainly great during the transitional season. I even wear it to the office a lot. Lasts a decent amount of time for a scent from this lineup. I can only dream that Chanel made an EDP version of this. Next up is Eau de Gloire from Parfum d'Empire, made by Marc-Antoine Corticchiato. This was one of my best purchases of 2024. It's a contemporary interpretation of a traditionally masculine eau de cologne. In particular, the inspiration of Bel Ami is clearly there. This is in the perfumer's usual style, a rustic countryside evoking scent with hay, immortelle and other herbal notes. Opens fresh with tangerine and bergamot, which transitions to herbs like this sharp aromatic rosemary and this bitter sweet immortelle, licorice, anise and lavender, adding to this aromatic herbal core of the scent. Dries down to this leather and labdanum combo with some mossy earthy patchouli. Even some tobacco adds to the dry smoky nuances. Not as rugged as Bel Ami. It still behaves like an eau as per the name. Lasts for a good amount of time as well. Beautifully sun-drenched, outdoorsy, neatly balanced with a lot of clarity. It's certainly multifaceted. There's an actual limited edition cologne version of this, which I'm yet to sample. Next is Ashoka from Nila Vermiere, released in 2014 and composed by Bertrand Duchaufour. This is a tribute to the said King Ashoka, who went from a violent warrior to a peace-loving Buddhist. The scent loosely tries to follow that narrative. It starts off with this insistent woody suede accord, complemented by fig, and a very convincing lotus note. Has this spongy, sappy, green, even a touch of aqueous quality to it. There is some vegetal spiciness from a lot of minor floral notes to reflect this sort of tension in the initial stages. It eventually settles down on this soft, meditative sandalwood with some incense and vetiver in the background. It's a truly remarkable, complex creation. This expression of Indian history through fine French perfumery really speaks to me for obvious reasons. The house as a whole is fantastic. Hope to talk more about them in the coming days. Following that is Iris Poudre from Frederic Malle, composed by Pierre Bourdon. Malle has references for many pillar floral notes in French perfumery, be it lily, magnolia, tuberose, mimosa, and multiple ones for rose. This is for iris, which is a root obviously, but this is complete aldehydic floral opulence. It certainly references the likes of Chanel No. 5. It just nudges it to the 21st century with its own interpretation of different facets and stylistic decisions. It opens with some aldehydes, which leads to the classic floral bouquet of rose, ylang, jasmine. What sort of keeps it from going into the full-on perfumey, cold, uptight Chanel territory is this prominent creamy sandalwood and some dry vetiver with a lot of musks, even a touch of clean, soapy white amber, which brings in a lot of woodiness and warmth. It is a brilliant neoclassical take on the aldehydic floral family, a proper black tie, red carpet glamour, ball gown kind of smell. But as time goes on, I've gotten used to this scent. I don't restrict it to formal occasions anymore. I would just wear it with something like a good white t-shirt and be totally comfortable. Just a spellbinding iris fragrance. Certainly one of the best in class. Up next is Eau de Gentiane Blanche from Hermès, released in 2009. Another best pickup of mine from last year. I kind of rediscovered this a couple of years ago when I was at the Hermès boutique and retested their entire cologne collection. I have only owned Eau d'Orange Vert from this lineup. This definitely references that one with its earthy petrichor kind of smell. It's not a typical summer cologne by any means. It even works in the cold. In some ways like L'Eau d'Hiver, both composed by Jean-Claude Ellena, of course. The Gentiana flowers are supposed to have this bittersweet, dry, earthy, rooty, somewhat waxy, herbal smell with a hint of bell peppers thrown in. Paired with the powdery iris, it just smells stunning. It's got this gloomy, misty image to it. It also wears big with a lot of musks for a cologne. I have not smelled a lot of colognes done in this sort of dry, earthy style before, especially with iris. It's just another release from Hermès that just keeps on giving. Okay, next up is I Scent Intense from Costume National, composed by Laurent Bruyère, who is the co-creator of Alien from Mugler along with Dominique Ropillon. And the fragrance does smell very much like a Ropillon composition. This is a distinctive woody amber floral fragrance. It has a fruity, spicy opening with cinnamon and apple. Then there is this calming hibiscus tea accord that comes through, which is really the standout. Dries down to this benzoin, sandalwood and patchouli scent. It does remind me of the style of others from the house, but that fruity tea accord really shakes up the scent. Does not smell like many other designer fragrances out there. I think it's a local hit in Italy, but still flies under the radar when it comes to this brand. Chasing that with Infusion Dome from Prada, created by Daniela Andrié. This has been slightly tweaked and re-released as Infusion d'Iris Cèdre. It's one of those quintessential clean Prada fragrances. That is before they were ruined by L'Oreal. Now they are just part of the L'Oreal supermarket scent portfolio, unfortunately. This, however, is pretty good. My go-to office scent during the springtime. There is the woody iris, the clean, soapy, cologne-like facets from neroli and orange blossom, some softened, resinous aspects from this crystalline, clean incense that manages to keep things interesting, drying down to cedar and clean musks with powdery touches. It's one of the better men's fragrances from the brand, along with Amber Porom. Lasts a decent amount of time for a clean, musky scent. After that is Fougère Royale from Houbigant. This is the 2010 version, of course, composed by Rodrigo Flores Roux. I'm already on my third bottle, which is all I can say about how much I love it. I kind of ignored this brand as one of those old school brands which are searching for relevance today. But then I smelled this and thought, this is as timeless as a fragrance can get. They have a couple of good ones. The Iris is good, Bois Mystique and Figuier Noir also good. The extrait version of this is just chef's kiss. But since then, they have jumped on to trendy, sweet stuff. Not sure what happened. Nonetheless, this is what started the Fougère family. Fresh bergamot, clean, classy lavender, geranium and other florals. Notably a perfectly positioned, calming chamomile note. Soapy and musky too. Lots of coumarin and patchouli in the base, giving this clean, shaved, fresh outlook. It lasts throughout the day. An all-time favorite of mine. Okay, let's finish off with a Chanel which happens to be my quintessential go-to spring fragrance. And I'm sure for many others. This is number 19 EDT Vintage, the reference green fragrance, one of my all-time favorites. I even prefer this over number 5. The current version is still very nice. Green galbanum, floral, musky, yet cold from notes like iris. Fantastic sharp cheeks, tall shoulders, and don't look down kind of vibe. Works great for the springtime. The main difference I see here could be that this is less floral and much more earthy and mossy and chypre-like compared to the newer versions. Even the galbanum is bitter, sappy, and kind of resinous here, still balancing the vibrancy. Surely the galbanum and oak moss restrictions must have played a part in the reformulations, I imagine. But when it comes down to Chanel, in spite of differences, I have been content even with the modern EDP and Poudre iterations. They do seem to take care of their fragrances, which is why a lot of my vintage fragrances are from them. Either way, that's been my spring fragrances for 2025. And as always, thanks for watching. Take care and ciao.